Welcome on into the Baseball Insiders. I am Adam Weinrib, joined as always by FanSided's MLB Insider Robert Murray. And this week we are mashing the panic button a couple times and then declining to mash it a couple other times as we talk about baseball's biggest disappointment so far and share some insight on what's gone wrong and what's gone right around the league since we last saw you on Thursday. Robert Murray, thanks as always for joining me, and we made it through another NFL draft. We did it.
That we did. The draft is over. It was absolutely electric. I could not be more happy with Howie Roseman doing what he does with the Philadelphia Eagles. But this is a baseball podcast, so I won't dive too deep into that. But just know, Howie, I'm very thankful for you. But other than that, man, busy weekend in baseball. The slide gate or the hand gate or whatever we want to end up calling it happened. Yeah, how are you doing, good sir?
I'm doing well. We'll talk about that, of course. Those cheating Yankees are at it again, doing something extremely normal that's apparently now illegal, but obviously we will break that down as well. We just set a record for least football ever discussed on the Baseball Insider, so I think that's ultimately good, especially after a draft weekend. Some people come here for the football. We satisfy you, but most of you are baseball fans, and you're here for us and for DraftKings, which is offering a fantastic sign-up bonus for all new users. New customers can place a $5 first bet on any sport to instantly claim $200 in bonus bets when you sign up with our code BASEBALLINSIDER. You'll receive one no-sweat single-game parlay every single day. The best part is you'll get both rewards even if your first bet loses. Using our code BASEBALLINSIDER not only gets you these bonuses, but it also directly supports our podcast. You've been considering signing up for DraftKings. Make sure to use the code BASEBALLINSIDER to maximize your first bets. This offer is only available to new customers who are 21 plus and physically present in legal gambling states. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer to see if you qualify. And join us in the Discord if you qualify as an elite baseball fan or you just want to become one. You can join at the all-star level or the rumor mill tier if you want to be able to talk to Robert and I between shows, ask us questions, and get priority responding in the live chat for these live shows. And that's going to really matter when we get closer to the trade deadline, Robert Murray, because that's when the stuff really starts to fly.
That is the truth. And obviously we've already gotten a couple of teams that kind of stand out as immediate trade deadline teams. But speaking of trade deadline, Gresham 5, how are you doing, good sir? I know you're always in the comments there on my Twitter and whatever supporting. So I appreciate you and hope you're having some Gresham 5 time today. But man, oh man, I'll tell you, I think the trade deadline talk is only going to get more and more active as like the next couple weeks or the next few weeks and months go on, but not there yet, but we will before too long. I rest assured we'll get there.
I agree, especially because we've got some real bottom of the barrel teams that I don't even know if you're concerned about, teams like the Marlins and what. Like, this episode is for, hey, how soon is too soon to press the panic button on the teams that are stuck in the middle? Right? Because the White Sox, hey, I'm concerned about the 6-22 White Sox. Yeah, no shit. You have eyeballs. You've watched baseball before. They're dreck. They're going to trade people. The Miami Marlins, their season is off the rails. They're going to trade people. You got teams like the Padres, teams like a couple American League East clubs we're going to talk about later in the show. Teams like the Pirates. Hot starts maybe slipping a little bit. Are they going to go for it? They're going to gas pedal it to the deadline, to the finish line after the August, September surge, or are they going to be in the seller category? Because there's a lot of teams hanging out in that mid-range, wondering whether or not they need to press the panic button after their very maddening start. We've covered the Astros plenty. I don't know how much we need to address them again here, just because I'm in the same boat I was before they swept the Mexico City series from those high-flying Colorado Rockies. They're a pretty good team with some pitching issues, a Jose Abreu problem, and a record that is way worse than it has any right to be. They're going to be involved. You can't count them out, but I'm not going to guarantee they make an ALCS surge again this year. There are real problems there. Is their season over? Absolutely not. But I think in terms of panic button, we're both sitting here saying, let's wait and see come July, but also kind of crazy they're so bad.
No, absolutely. And I know people here are kind of sick of the Astros talk. We'll limit that for sure.
It's over.
But yeah, it's yeah, we'll stop after this, I promise you. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before. This is a more flawed team than usual. And speaking of flaws, Aaron Judge, very slow start to the year, Adam. I know you're Mr. Yankees over there. You've gotten to watch it firsthand. He's started to bounce back a little bit. Like 3 home runs in his last, 5 games. He's hitting 296 in his last 7 days, I think that is.
Yes.
And he's starting to look more and more like Aaron Judge. I know people were starting to press the panic button on Aaron Judge. And I get it because the injury concerns there are lingering. They're not going to go away. Saw it last year. It's still popping up this year. I'm not as worried about him just because I think it's just the case of I think he's starting to round back into form. I think he'll end up emerging as this leader of this Yankees team once again. I'm curious what you think, but my panic or my concern with him is not as high as I think it is for a lot of other people.
I'm in the mid-range as well, and obviously my concern is a little bit higher if he doesn't go 5 for 8 with 2 homers and 5 RBI and 2 walks and only 1 K in the last 2 games against the Milwaukee Brewers. Baseball's funny. It's 162 one-game seasons. You can't help but overreact to the things that you see early. But Judge, getting that mysterious toe injury last year, plus whatever shut him down in the middle of spring training this year, which the Yankees still don't want to talk about or admit, you're naturally going to be concerned if he starts off the next year with seemingly an inability to recognize outside breaking balls. Like all of a sudden, pitches he used to spit on, he's swinging and missing. And you start to wonder, man, does a short spring training really make somebody regress in that department? Like surely he at least knows to lay off the low and away breaking stuff. And he appeared in the early going to not know how to do that. Now that doesn't seem on the surface like it would have anything to do with a toe or with some lingering soreness. Just felt like he was out of rhythm at the start. I was not ready to throw dirt on him, and I'm still not. I don't think there's any reason to believe, especially with the way he looked last year coming off the toe injury, that he's just straight up bad now. That would make very little sense. He proved over the weekend that it's still within him. Now he's got to find that consistency and hopefully shake off whatever was ailing him. Added him to this list of panic button conversations just so we could talk about it a little bit. I saw a viral tweet over the weekend that was like, tune into the Yankees game. Why isn't anybody talking about this with Aaron Judge's batting average and home run numbers? I wanted to be like, I'm pretty confident that every fucking person on earth is talking about this, but at least now we are. And there's our one F-bomb, by the way. We're officially, we're PG-13, and if we drop one more, we're R. And I apologize to DraftKings, but it feels like everybody on earth was saying, I guess Aaron Judge is bad now. And then after the last couple of games, we can quiet that down a little bit.
Yeah, I think we can start quieting it down. I mean, if the struggles end up popping up again, then I think maybe that conversation could be more had. But I think do not overreact to small sample sizes. That is the key to this, because what happens in the first month of the season very rarely is what ends up going to be, or is going to end up being what happens at the end of the year. So I think let's remain calm. Aaron Judge is still very good. He's in the second year of his monster contract. I think he'll be fine, but the injury concerns always got to be in the back of your mind when it comes to him.
They're never going to leave. So I think concern level is like, hey, is he injured? Then I'm concerned. Are the injuries heating up? Yeah, then I'm a little bit more concerned. But baseline Aaron Judge, still a very talented baseball player. Now, speaking of the teams that we're not concerning ourselves with, the Chicago White Sox are red hot, on fire, have gone from a 3-22 record to a 6-22 record. That would lead to potential concerns about the team that allowed Chicago to win 3 games this weekend. Tampa Bay Rays. Their City Connect jerseys are nasty. Not worried or concerned about those at all. Maybe the best City Connect jerseys, although black top, black hat, black pants. It's hard to read the player's name. Nike. Just throwing that out there. But great design. Least of the Rays' concerns right now are the way they look. The on-field play has been maddeningly inconsistent. This team seems a little thinner than in past years. The rotation certainly does, and it's no mystery. No McClanahan. Look at the guys they've lost to Tommy Judd. They get Rasmussen back later this year, presumably. But the big names that led the Rays' hot start last year, not currently active and available, they've had a lot of success plugging and playing, less so this year, and they've already lost Pete Fairbanks. So my concern level with the Rays, actually moderately high. I feel like you can't be magical every season, and they're finally starting to feel the effect of those big names being lost. I will never hit the panic button and say that their system is outdated, but I will say that if they were ever going to backslide, it would be this year.
I wholeheartedly agree with everything you just said there. I think if you look at this team, obviously not having Wander Franco hurts. You also don't have Tyler Glasnow. You have a bunch of guys who are on the IL who are missing time. I mean, they're going to get a bunch of these guys back. So the fact that they're only 6 games back, they're not out of this by any means. We still got 130, 140 games left. So, I mean, there's a lot of ball game left here. But I am a little bit concerned about their outlook overall because this isn't what a typical Rays team looks like. They have plenty of flaws, and I think you have to look no further than their bullpen. I mean, you look at it, they have a 5.29 ERA, and they have blown 8 save chances out of 16 opportunities. That is not great. I mean, there's plenty of different flaws with this Rays team for sure, but that right there, they're a team that has been able to find guys off the street and end up having them produce like a 1.5 ERA. I think like the prime example of that was Jason Adam, where they ended up getting him a few years ago, and he was kind of an afterthought addition, and all of a sudden he emerged as one of the best relievers in baseball. I think that was some of their finest work, but eventually, like, it can catch up to you, and I think this year it kind of is, and I think they'll bounce back, but I'm kind of skeptical of just how high their ceiling is, and I think there's other teams in that division who have a much better shot and more realistic shot of winning that division and ultimately advancing to the postseason.
Robert Stevenson, here's $33 million based on your tenure with the Rays. And, oh, wait a second, we won't see you until next year.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I don't know what team it is, but there was another team in addition to the Angels that was very serious about Stevenson in the offseason, but they were concerned about the medicals. I don't know who it was, but the medical concern was definitely there this offseason.
Yeah, I'd like to buy that team a slice of cake for being 100% correct. The medicals were bad.
Yeah. Poor Angels. What a brutal offseason. Yeah. I mean, there's a loyal listener in this comments here. I don't think he's in here today, but Beyond the Halo, he has been letting that Angels front office and also Artie Moreno have it pretty good on Twitter. So I see your tweets and they're valid. They're very valid. I feel bad for Angels fans right now.
It has been sort of funny to watch, especially in the Discord, just how many fan bases are already melting down and asking for full front office upheavals and overhauls. But you know what? Most of the melting down fans are not entirely incorrect about their early meltdowns. Now, I will say I just received another Toronto Blue Jays follower on X, formerly known as Twitter, currently known as X. And I'm not sure if you're going to enjoy following the content. You joined at the perfect time because I did want to talk about those Toronto Blue Jays. And more specifically, the decisions they're going to have to make because they're in a similar spot where the Rays are right now. The Rays, obviously, were knee-jerk reacting. They lose a series to Chicago. And you got to be concerned about that no matter what. But the Blue Jays are sort of treading water in a similar spot. They've gotten great pitching from Berrios, Kikuchi. Kevin Gausman is rounding into form a bit. But they've got a record that's not exactly indicative of a team ready to take over the East or make a playoff run or compete with the O's. And they've now got some difficult long-term decisions to make on Vlad Jr. and Bo Bichette. So I think my concern lies more with I'm not sure what that team is aiming for long-term, what those fans are going to accept, how much of a rebuild is necessary or will be welcomed. But let's touch on Vlad and Bo right now. We don't want to overreact to small sample sizes. We won't. The sample size is growing a little bit larger on Vlad Jr. specifically, that maybe very good player with incredible tools, not the dominant force we thought he might be when he broke into the league. Any pulse on what the Jays are leaning long-term or how long they're going to take to make any sort of decision on future outcomes?
Yeah, as far as the Jays go here, they got themselves a really difficult decision here with what to do with Vlad Jr. and also Bo Bichette. I think the Vlad Jr. one is a more complicated one of the two because you look at Vlad Jr., he's got all the tools you could possibly imagine. He is someone who is immensely talented. He's someone that the Blue Jays envision as the future of their franchise, possibly following in his father's footsteps as one of the most dominant hitters in baseball. And for the most part, in the first couple of years, he looked the part. I mean, 2021 was awesome. And slowly but surely, ever since then, he has been kind of on the decline. I mean, like, that sounds harsh. I mean, he's still been a useful player for sure. Don't get me wrong. But this year, he's really bottomed out. He's hitting 218 right now, and looks nothing like that long-term foundational piece that they expected. And he's under contract through this year, and I believe also next year, and then it's up in the air. I want to say that's correct. Adam can fact check me on that, but I mean, with the way he's performing this year, that would leave me with some serious doubts about giving him that long-term deal, because you want, when you sign a player to a mega deal, you want to like have a pretty good idea of what you're going to be getting. And with Vlad Jr., the highs are going to be really high, but the lows can also be really low. That's a tricky one. I don't necessarily know if I give him that long-term deal. Maybe people with the Blue Jays feel differently, but I don't know. I don't think I would do it with Bo Bichette, though. On the other hand, like, he's also struggled this year. He's another guy that was supposed to be a long-term foundational piece in that infield, and he's really struggling this year. And he's barely, in the last week, he's barely hitting over 100. I think it's like 115 that he's hitting in that stretch, and it's tough. It's real tough, and it makes you wonder what's going into these players' struggles. Is it something with the organization? Is it these players that are they just doing something that's whatever? We don't know the answers to that. But it's a huge issue, and it ultimately is going to be, if they continue to struggle, what prevents the Blue Jays from reaching their ceiling, which should be really high considering the talent, but they're just not there right now.
Yeah, Bo Bichette, 65 OPS plus on the season. Like,
is that good?
that's like Toledo Mud Hens midweek call-up bad. That's like, I got to call up this 29-year-old who has 4 home runs at AAA to fill a spot. Like, I hope he's competent. Oh, wait, he isn't. Okay, back to the minors with you. That organization does need to take a long look. They have prioritized defense so heavily in recent years, and pitching, and both the defense and pitching have been excellent. And somehow these foundational offensive pieces that they were supposed to be able to rely on for a decade have been neglected. I tell you what isn't the solution: booing Shohei Ohtani. He made it very clear this weekend that that is not necessarily a winning formula. Although, Shohei, I speak on behalf of the Hockey Hall of Fame. You are banned, sir. You can't enter the Hockey Hall of Fame. Your picture has been posted at the front. Don't you dare try to come in and learn about Mark Recchi and Patrick Waugh. If you try to learn about them, you're getting the bum's rush, my king. It's not going to happen. Yeah, interesting stuff going on in Toronto. I'm not making that up. They really did tack up a picture of Shohei Ohtani and like write on a scribbled piece of paper, like, do not allow. He can't come in. They like put
You're
him
kidding
on.
me.
No, they put him on the wall. Look it up. The NHL Hall of Fame banned him.
Wow. I mean, talk about sour grapes. I mean, it's not even Ohtani's fault. It's the people that had him on a plane to Toronto, and also
Ban Morosi from the Hockey Hall of Fame.
And JP Hoornstra. I mean, like, both those. I mean, like, I know both those guys. They're good dudes, but I mean, don't lash it out on Shohei. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. He was doing his due diligence. There's this giant conspiracy going around on Twitter of, like, Shohei used, like, this was somehow a plant by Shohei and CAA to like leverage it against the Dodgers and to get them to panic, to give them it's bull crap. I mean, we already got our one swear out of the way, so I'm not going to do it. But
is bull crap? What does bull crap rank as? That I swear.
I have no. I don't think so. I think I'm in the clear. But I mean, I'm telling you, like, all those theories and those whatever you want to call it, it's BS. Shohei and CA did not have any ill intent with that. I don't know how it started, but the internet is a freaking wild place, man.
Yeah, I do love the internet. Ultimately, I think the internet's okay.
So do I. I mean, it got me my career, so I mean, I can't necessarily be too upset with that.
Yeah, got me my career and could also end my career at any minute, presumably. But yeah, Shohei, don't you dare go to a hockey museum. Don't even think about it, friend. Good question. Also, we were not going to talk about this, but good question from Mark Powell in the comments. We're talking about individual players who are struggling to start the year. Worth mentioning that the Atlanta Braves, one of the best teams in baseball, obviously, Ronald Acuna and Matt Olson have not quite been their regular self so far this year either. I'm going to chalk those guys up again as small sample size. Don't even think about it. It's April 2024. For me, there is no legitimate reason to say that the 2023 NL MVP, something fundamentally changed in his brain chemistry. And now he can't do it. He can't hack it anymore. He's too scared. Stealing bases. He became obsessed, and just overnight he decided, I'm no longer going to swing. I'm only going to run. Like, I believe in the Braves, and I think it's all the more impressive that their start has been so good while accepting kind of below average performances from these tentpole players. But that's as far as I'm willing to go.
Yeah, I'm the same way. My concern level with them is at a 0 right now. I mean, he's having the worst year of the two, but I'm thinking they're going to be just fine. The Braves will be just fine. Olson and Acuna will be just fine. My concern with them is a whopping 0.
Look, if you're watching them every day and you're just like not excited to watch them play not great baseball, then like, sure, I get it. You're allowed to be concerned about it. But overall, we'll stand from where we are and say, yeah, I don't think that that's really anything to worry about. Obviously, a burner. Have I bought any Ray City Connect merch yet? Yep, I bought 300 shirts with the skateboarding neon Ray for sure. I'm going to wear those every single show from here on out. That's the only thing in my wardrobe. That and one plain black shirt. I'm burning everything else in a big fire outside my apartment and going to jail. So thank you for asking. Final team that we were going to talk about in terms of concern a little bit, the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I'll go ahead and answer this one because I just think a lot of people probably don't know that they're under 500 at the moment, the defending NL champions. A lot of the nerves lie with Corbin Carroll, who has not looked like himself to start the year. For me, that's another small sample size. The tools don't disappear year over year. Don't worry about it. This one's easy. Under 500, but a plus 28 in run differential as of Sunday. So that's how low my concern is. The Pythagorean record says this should easily even out, even if Carroll doesn't heat up. And guess what? He will. So for me, the Diamondbacks still a great team.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I think they're going to be just fine. Corbin Carroll's going to bounce back. They're also going to get Jordan Montgomery for the rest of the year. They're also going to get Erod back when he eventually comes off the IL, which I don't know when that's going to be. But my concern with them is not high at all. They're not going to win that division by any means. I mean, I think the Dodgers have a pretty good hold on that considering their talent, but it would not surprise me at all if the Diamondbacks made it to the playoffs again and also made some noise considering you look at that rotation, it's pretty damn good, especially when it's healthy. So I think they're going to end up being another wild card team, and they can end up making some noise if they end up making the postseason. Andrew, hello. We have not talked about the Padres yet.
And we do have a question about the Padres. So you joined at the perfect time. Concern level segment over. I think the Dodgers win the NL West unless Shohei Ohtani tries to visit the Hockey Hall of Fame and gets thrown directly in Canadian prison. In that case, they're screwed. But if Shohei Ohtani does not do that, the Dodgers will probably win the NL West and be just fine. I agree. The Diamondbacks slot right behind them. But hey, what do those Padres do? Stuck right in the middle, one of those teams we talked about right at the top of the show in terms of how to pick a lane, can't pick a lane yet, are going to be involved in the deadline frenzy one way or another. The Padres fans right now are wondering what a Padres fire sale looks like rather than a Padres fire purchase. What's the opposite of a fire sale? Ice purchase? Yeah,
fire purchase? I don't know.
I actually have no idea. Just massive, I don't know, windfall of purchasing. But either way, Padres fans are wondering what a Padres seller looks like. I wouldn't be concerned about that right now, but do you have any idea of movable contracts? That team right now feels like a stay the course to me. And based on all my Padres experience, they'll probably buy. But any thoughts on the direction of the San Diego Padres?
Yeah, I don't know why Padres fans are so eager to one, sell, and also two, to fire AJ Preller. Like, what the heck is going on here? But I mean, like to answer this question, if they do sell, I think Kim is like the most obvious candidate. I wouldn't expect them to move Dylan Cease because the big appeal with him was his control, and I just don't think they would end up selling him like only a few months after acquiring him, especially for the prospect haul that they gave up for him. It's just no. I think that'd be getting. I think that's a really unlikely scenario where they move Dylan Cease. I think Kim, if they do sell, is fair game, but like, I don't understand the rush here to sell or fire Preller. I know the expectations are high in San Diego, but yeah, I mean, I don't get it.
I don't really get it either. But again, all fandoms have you look, you probably thinking differently about Michael King now than you were about Michael King 2 weeks ago. Fandom is crazy. Always welcome everybody to drop their questions in the chat. We'll answer the ones that we can. And again, if you join at the all-star level, we will prioritize responses once things get crazy, hectic leading into the trade deadline. That'll really help. Now, should we do the segment that everybody has been waiting for, the Aaron Judge slide gate over the weekend in the Yankees-Brewers series? I can do this segment multiple times. I could do this segment like a choose-your-own-adventure. Like, do you want Adam Weinrib bias corner? Do you want the Mad Dog version of this segment where I'm just like an angry New York sports radio guy? Do you want the rational version of this segment? Is that what Robert and I should be doing? A yin and yang where I put on a crazy WFAN Sal Licata voice. And I'm like, if he's not allowed to slide, then what is he allowed to do? And then you come back at me and you're like, well, hold on now. There's something in the rule book. Here's my take on the Aaron Judge slide. He was trying to obstruct the throw. It's not a big deal unless the baseball hits his hand. He's been doing this forever and ever. He raises his hand because he's tall to try to distract the throw. Usually it does absolutely nothing. In this instance, the Willy Adames throw hit his hand. And now, congratulations, Milwaukee Brewers. You're going to get umpires around the league examining this, probably telling Aaron Judge to stop it. And that wouldn't have happened if Adames' throw had not drilled him in the hand. Is it an illegal slide? Not if it doesn't make contact with the baseball. Now they're going to make it one. So that's where I'm at. I don't know how you feel or stand on this. Aaron Judge, though, biggest cheater in baseball history, like Alex Manoah said about Garrett Cole.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to handle that one. But anyways, like, I get it. Like, this is how a Judge has slid his entire career. Like, I mean, we've seen John Boy post and we've seen a bunch of other people post the videos of him sliding. Like, his hand is always up. But in this case, when he put his hand up, he hit the ball, and that's technically interference. And I will, like, the umpires obviously didn't call in the moment, but when they were talking to the pool reporter after the game, they admitted it was a mistake, that it should have been called interference. I give the umpires credit for that, because there's not many umpires who admit a mistake when they make it. Like, we've seen it pretty recently where umpires don't admit it, but they did in this case. But, like, here's the thing: is the umpires made a mistake. They should have called it, but they didn't. And the Brewers let that thing totally unravel. Like, what was it? A 4-4 game in the fifth inning at some point? Mm-hmm. And then they lost 15-5.
Yep.
I mean, that is, like, you can control what you can control. You can't control the umpires making a certain call, but you can control what happens after that. The Brewers completely unraveled. Yeah, did the umpires make a mistake? Of course. But the Brewers could have really gotten that thing in control, and they let it get out of hand, and they lost 15-5. It counts as one game in the standings. It's not the end of the world, but that was they could have handled that a lot better, is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not sure how many series in the history of Major League Baseball where the home team has won the first game and then had position players pitch in the next two games. I feel like that is rare. Okay, all we need to do is win one more. We take the series over the Yankees. We have Jake Bauers and Owen Miller closing these games. That can't be good. Yeah, the Brewers collapsed, but they collapsed on Saturday. There was no iffy call there. They had two tough games in a row, and of course the Judge slide becomes the focal point. Here's my word of advice. We play 162 one-game seasons. We all know it. If there's anything that's going to even out over the course of the year, it's bad umpiring. There's going to be inconsistencies on both sides. The Yankees just lost Aaron Boone for a game last week because Hunter Wendelstadt heard some fan in the stands scream and ejected the manager for the duration of the game. It's going to happen. It's going to even out. The Brewers are going to get a break soon. The Yankees are going to get boned again by the incompetence of some force beyond their control. Also, shout out to the Oakland A's. I said it last week when they split with the Yankees. We say it again now that they took a series from the Orioles in Baltimore. That bullpen is good. The lineup is okay. The A's are fine. The A's would be a 500 team if they didn't play the Guardians this year. They're 11-11 and 0-6 against the Guardians. The A's are okay.
Are they?
I think they're fine. I think they're okay. We talked about Lucas Erceg. He's okay. Mitch Spence, he's okay.
I'll tell you, like, the Lucas Ursig story, I mean, well, we talked about it in the last show, but friggin' awesome. But I'll tell you, the A's, what's their record right now?
Great question.
Let's look at this. Look at the standings right here.
They're 12-17.
They're only 3.5 games back. Who would have thought at this point of the season? I mean, I know we're 29 games into this season, but they're 2.5 games above the Astros in that division. They're only 3 games back of the Rangers. I mean, never in a million years did I see that coming. The Angels are in rough shape. I think the A's eventually bounce back a little bit here, or not bounce back, but they like come back down to earth is what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. But encouraging start for them at least.
Well, they're 8-8 on the road. They're 8-8 on the road, and they're 4-9 at home in front of fans who've been disrespected and are actively boycotting their home games. So without the active, of course they're bad at home. The fans are angry at ownership and aren't giving them the support that they need for good reason. But I mean, obviously they're playing much better away from home. And after A's appreciation corner, it's only natural that we do Ranger Suarez appreciation corner. Man, if he had gone into this episode with a scoreless inning streak still alive, then I'd be going nuts. But 32 consecutive, nothing to sneeze at, busted up with 1 run in the 8th inning against San Diego on Saturday that ended up not mattering at all. I've noticed some a renewed respect for soft tossers now that we have all these velo problems. We have all these velo chasers, pitchers coming down with elbow injuries, everybody blaming it on Driveline, etc. Shout out to Ranger Suarez, a guy who does it differently. There are very few of him now, and he's getting the love that he deserves this past week because of the way that he's been spectacular to start the year. Man, of all the contending Phillies teams from the past couple of years, the Phillies teams that started a little slow, get their act together in the second half, and then enter October as a team nobody wants to play, but don't really have the regular season record to match. Is this the best that the modern Phillies teams have looked, especially in April, and especially with a guy like Aaron Nola, who we probably would have done a panic button episode about a couple of weeks ago, starting to look good now too. Suarez looks great. Wheeler looks great. Those are the big 3, but it goes beyond that as well. The whole Phillies team, Taijuan Walker, questionable, but man, the guys that they're throwing out there, Christopher Sanchez looking good. If you're a Phillies fan, you maybe feel as good now during the regular season as you have the past 3 years.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you look at that team. I mean, obviously they got just tons of talent on offense. And you look at their rotation, and who would have thought, I mean, between having a rotation with high-priced guys like Zach Wheeler, like Aaron Nola, I mean, Taijuan Walker is one of their higher-priced guys, too, in that rotation as well. But it's been Ranger Suarez who's been their best pitcher so far. And I think it's just been an incredible story here for the Phillies, who just look like an absolutely dominant and loaded team. They're still second in that division. So, I mean, just major respect to the Braves for what they're doing. But what we're seeing from the Phillies here are why I had them winning that division, but also winning the World Series. Is like from top to bottom, there are not many teams that are that talented across baseball. And obviously, like they would have to get through the Braves, they would have to get through the Dodgers, they'd have to get through the Brewers, they'd have to get through a lot of these teams. But between their offense, their pitching, they're pretty stacked here. The one thing they're going to have to improve on, it seems like this is an annual thing that we talk about with the Phillies, is I think they can definitely use some bullpen depth. But from the roster building standpoint, they're in really good hands right now. And it's a credit to Dave Dombrowski. It's also a credit to their owner, John Middleton. He is not afraid to spend it all. By the way, I will say between Middleton and also Jeffrey Lurie, those 2 Philadelphia teams, the Phillies and the Eagles, have 2 of the best ownership groups in sports. They're in very good hands. We had to circle back with football talk.
We had to get back to the Birds after Cooper DeJean. Yeah, Cooper DeJean is going to be the #1 Warren jersey down the shore this summer. You got to give the Eagles ownership credit. I will give both ownership groups credit as well. I totally agree with you there. There's room for improvement. Roster's not finished. It's April 29th, but this is probably the most confident I've been about them during the regular season, and it comes on the heels of a deep postseason run 2 years ago, another upset of the Braves. Last year, I don't think anybody wants to see the Phillies in their postseason bracket, and nothing about the first month of the season has changed that at all for me.
No, me neither. I think they're in really good hands. I think they're going to be just a force to be reckoned with in the NL, and probably is too strong at this point, but possibly representing the National League in the World Series again. They look like a force to be reckoned with right now.
I think it is very reasonable. And again, their chances do improve if Shohei Ohtani tries to sneak into the Hockey Hall of Fame to see the Chris Chelios game-worn gloves and gets escorted out by Canuck cops. Again, that'll be an important development if it does happen. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody, here on the Baseball Insiders on a Monday show. If you join us live, 3:30 Eastern, we're here twice a week on YouTube, Mondays and Thursdays, all year long. All season long, and things really heat up when we get towards the trade deadline. So please, if you're here in April, we appreciate it. We'd love to see you in May, love to see you in June, and then July. Man, we're really going to turn things up here. So very much appreciate it. Appreciate everybody who's joined us. Appreciate everyone who's joined us in the Discord. Familiar names, people we've seen all along. Our friend MLB Deadline News was in here for a little bit, giving us eyeballs. They followed me on Twitter over the course of this podcast as well. Currently known as X, formerly known as Twitter. Again, not going to call it that. Never, ever, under any circumstances. But they might enjoy following me more than Blue Jays folks. But I am Adam Weinrib on that platform. Robert Murray, you are by Robert Murray on that platform. And I appreciate you joining, as always, to talk through. Honestly, don't panic about a lot of stuff. It's April. Don't panic about a lot of stuff. But there's room for mini panics. And I think we talked through things pretty well today.
No, I think so too. This is way early in the season. We're not even a month into it yet. Don't press the panic button. A lot of ball game left. Speaking of ball games, I am heading to Dodgers D-backs here in a little bit, so that should be fun. I guess we'll talk about that on the next show a little bit, in addition to a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, I think we will. I'll obviously reserve a section for checking in on that Dodgers locker room, see if you pick up on anything. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Again, DraftKings. Check the description to see if you are eligible. Join the Discord if you want to, and you haven't. If you don't want to, maybe give it a try. Give it a test run. We'll see if you enjoy it. You could be the most informed fan. You could roast Robert about his TVs. You could ask for his NFL draft takes. He'll drop them. Insider knowledge. Anything that you can get on the show, but you want to get it on a Wednesday when we're not live, we'll give it to you in the Discord. We appreciate everybody joining us here today, and we appreciate everybody who will join us moving forward. Until next show, Thursday afternoon, 3:30. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.